All right, let's jump right into it. We're doing a deep dive into Act 1, Scene 3 of Macbeth.
Which is like one of the most important scenes in the whole play.
Absolutely. It sets the stage. It introduces like all the big ideas.
Ambition, fate,
The supernatural.
everything.
And it really grabs you right from the start.
Right, like those opening lines from the witches.
Fair is foul, and foul is fair.
Talk about setting a mood.
Totally. It's like, what's good and what's bad.
What's real and what's an illusion.
It makes you question everything right away.
So imagine this. The scene opens. We're on a heath.
Desolate. Windswept.
Thunder booming.
And these three witches appear.
Not your typical friendly witches either.
Oh, no, no.
These are like serious magic wielders.
Dealing with dark forces.
They're even talking about cursing a sailor.
Yeah, just because his wife wouldn't share some chestnuts.
Petty, right?
Totally. But it shows you they have this power.
And they're not afraid to use it.
Even for the smallest reasons.
And then, bam! Enter Macbeth and Banquo. Our heroes! Fresh from battle.
Victorious, you know.
Covered in glory.
And then they run into these, like, weird witches.
What a contrast.
Total clash of worlds.
And the witches, they immediately focus on Macbeth.
Yeah, they start telling him these prophecies.
Thane of Glamis.
Thread of Cawdor.
And wait for it, king.
I mean, talk about a life-changing moment.
Imagine someone just came up to you and said, "You're gonna be king."
What would you even do?
Macbeth, he's obviously startled.
He even asks the witches, like, where are you getting this information?
He doesn't just believe them blindly.
Which makes sense.
He's a little skeptical at first.
But then things get even crazier.
Ross and Angus show up.
With big news.
Macbeth. He's been named Thane of Cawdor.
It's like one of the prophecies just came true.
Right in front of him.
And that's where the seed of ambition really starts to grow.
It's that confirmation, no matter how small.
It makes him think, wait, what if the rest of the prophecy is true too?
Right. What if I actually could be king?
And you can almost see the wheels turning in his head.
But it's important to remember, Macbeth's not the only one who hears these prophecies.
Oh, right. Banquo's there too.
And he has a very different reaction.
Way more cautious, right?
He even warns Macbeth. He says, these instruments of darkness, they might be trying to trick us.
Like, don't fall for their games.
Exactly. He's the voice of reason.
Trying to keep Macbeth grounded.
While Macbeth's getting swept up in all this excitement.
So we have this contrast, right?
Macbeth, tempted by ambition.
And Banquo, urging caution.
And it really makes you think about this whole question of fate versus free will.
Right. Are these prophecies set in stone?
Or do Macbeth and Banquo have a choice in how they respond?
That's the big question. And even though he's afraid, Macbeth starts to consider the possibility of becoming king.
We see it in those asides, you know.
Or he's talking directly to the audience.
Like when he says, two truths are told as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme.
He's already thinking about the prophecies as steps to something bigger.
He can't shake that image of himself as king.
Even if it means doing terrible things to get there.
But he's struggling too.
He's not evil. Not yet, anyway.
No, he even says present fears are less than horrible imaginings.
The thought of killing the king, it terrifies him.
He's torn.
Attracted to power, but repulsed by what it might take to get it.
Such a complex character.
So we end this scene with so much hanging in the balance.
A king who's clueless about the danger he's in.
A hero tempted by a dark prophecy.
And those mysterious witches lurking in the shadows.
And the question remains, will Macbeth succumb to his ambition?
Will Banquo be able to save his friend from himself?
We'll find out soon enough. But before we move on, let's pause for a second.
Think about that idea of fate versus free will.
If someone told you you were destined for greatness, how would you react?
Would you be excited? Afraid? A mix of both. It really makes you think, doesn't it? About how much control we actually have over our own lives.
Right. Like, are we masters of our own destiny? Or are we just playing out some predetermined script?
Big questions.
Okay, but let's get back to the text itself. Act 1, Scene 3. There are some seriously juicy quotes in this scene.
Oh, absolutely. Lines that just, like, crack the whole play wide open.
The kind of stuff you can drop in your next English class discussion and sound like a total Shakespeare pro.
Exactly.
So let's start with that line from The Witches, the one that everyone knows.
Fair is foul, and foul is fair.
It's so simple, but so creepy.
And so confusing, like, what does it even mean?
Right. Is good actually bad? Is bad actually
Are they
good?
talking about themselves?
Or Macbeth.
Or like the whole world of the play?
Like Shakespeare's messing with us right from the start.
Making us question everything we think we know.
Okay, and then there's that other iconic line, when the witches give Macbeth the big prophecy.
All hail, Macbeth, that shalt be king hereafter.
I mean, can you imagine hearing that?
Just casually walking along and bam, some witch tells you you're going to be king.
I'd probably faint.
And the way they say it, too, so formal.
So dramatic.
Like it's this inevitable thing, this grand pronouncement.
It makes it feel so powerful.
And Macbeth, he's obviously freaked out, right?
Totally. He's like, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair?
He's excited by the idea, but also scared.
Like, instinctively, he knows this could lead to something bad.
Even though it sounds good on the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's that sense of foreboding.
And then, boom, Ross and Angus show up.
Perfect timing. Just as Macbeth's processing this whole king thing.
And they're like, congratulations, you're the Thane of Cawdor now.
Oh, one prophecy down, 2 to go.
And that's when Macbeth's skepticism starts to waver.
He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What if they're right?
That one little confirmation, it changes everything.
And we see it in his language.
When he says, Glamis and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind.
He's already ranking the prophecies.
Focusing on that final one, king.
And then there's that line that always gives me chills.
2 truths are told, as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme.
That's when you know things are going to get dark.
He's not even hiding his ambition anymore. He's embracing it.
Those first 2 prophecies. Just stepping stones.
He's picturing himself on the throne.
Fantasizing about power.
But there's still that fear lurking beneath the surface.
Right. He says, present fears are less than horrible imaginings.
He knows what he might have to do to become king, and it terrifies him.
But the ambition is starting to outweigh the fear.
And that's what makes this scene so tragic. He's caught in this web of his own desires.
Knowing he might be headed down a dark path, but unable to resist the pull.
And then comes the big question. If chance will have me king, why, chance may crown me without my stir.
Is he really saying he'll just let fate decide?
It seems that way, right?
But I don't know, there's something about the way he says it.
Like he's already scheming.
Like he's trying to convince himself it's not his fault.
That it's all destiny.
But deep down, I think he's already starting to make a plan.
He's not going to just sit back and wait for that crown to fall in his lap.
Exactly. He's going to make things happen.
And that's what makes this scene so compelling. We see the seeds of darkness being planted, and we're left wondering just how far Macbeth will go to fulfill his ambition.
It's intense.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get totally lost in Macbeth's drama.
We can't forget Banquo.
Right. He's got a lot to say about these prophecies, too.
And about the dangers of listening to them.
He's like the only one who's not buying into the hype.
Right. He sees the witches for what they are, manipulators.
He's trying to tempt people with these promises of power.
And he delivers that killer line, too.
Oh, you mean the instruments in darkness tell us truth? Win us with honest trifles to betrays in deepest consequence?
Exactly. He nails it. He sees right through their game.
Like, sure, they might tell you some truths, but it's all just a trap.
To lead you down a dangerous path.
And it's interesting, right? Banquo, he gets his own prophecy, too.
About his children becoming kings.
But it doesn't consume him like it does Macbeth. He's not immediately scheming about how to make it happen.
He's more like, interesting, but also kind of suspicious.
He's much more cautious.
Which makes him such a great contrast to Macbeth. They're like 2 sides of the same coin.
Right. Macbeth's all impulsive, driven by his ambition.
Yeah.
And Banquo's more thoughtful, more grounded.
Makes you wonder what would happen if Macbeth had listened to him more.
Seriously.
Yeah.
If he had just taken a step back and really considered the consequences.
But that's the tragedy of Macbeth, isn't it? He gets so swept up in his own desires that he can't see the danger ahead.
He's like a runaway train.
And Shakespeare does such a brilliant job of showing us this internal struggle that Macbeth's going through.
To those asides, right?
Yeah, those moments where he speaks directly to the audience, revealing his true thoughts. Like when he says, "My thought, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man. That function is smothered in surmise."
Whoa. That's heavy.
He's already imagining killing the king, even though he knows it's wrong.
It both terrifies him.
And fascinates him.
Yeah, it's like this dark possibility that he can't shake.
And it's just the beginning, right?
The scene, it's like a powder keg. It sets up all the major conflicts that are going to explode later in the play.
The battle between good and evil.
The corrupting power of ambition.
The question of whether we control our own fate or if it's all predetermined.
So much to unpack.
And we've only just scratched the surface, but I think we've laid a pretty good foundation for understanding this incredibly complex and fascinating play.
Totally. And I hope our deep dive has inspired you to explore Macbeth even further,
To read it closely,
to think about the characters and their motivations.
and to consider how the themes of the play connect to your own life and experiences.
Because even though it was written centuries ago, Macbeth still has so much to teach us about ourselves and the world around us.
It's a story that continues to resonate with audiences today.
And we can't wait to continue exploring it with you in our next deep dive.
So until then, keep reading, keep thinking, and keep those conversations going.
And remember, fair is foul and foul is fair.